Right, okay, we decided to visit Galloways Pies. And the big reason for that is because I was featured, I say featured, a little tiny clip on Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. And he was shocked. He was shocked. First of all, he talked about what's so popular, and there was somebody else there. I tell you what, let's just play it on.
Before we get to our main story tonight, I want to talk to you about an area in the UK called Makerfield. It's between Manchester and Liverpool, and it contains, among other things, parts of Wigan, the town where charmingly Wallace and Gromit live, and which was slightly less charmingly once portrayed by George Orwell as a sinkhole of misery.
The Wallace and Gromit bit. This is up for a big debate, because apparently they lived. I know they're fictional, but they were said to live in Wigan. But the creator was from Preston. Now, argue that and let me know in the comments. Is that right?
Just watch as this guy pays the town a visit and interviews some local kids.
What's the best thing about Wigan? Shit. Well, shit.
He's up fingers Galloway's pies.
But why does everyone say Galloways pie?
Might be better.
Bolton or Wigan?
Bolton.
Really?
Yeah, I'd choose Bolton over Wigan. It's just a shithole. Well, they're both shitholes at the end of the day.
Why did everyone say Galloway's pies being answered with, because it's better? Better than what exactly?
So that's why we're here. We're here to try Galloway's pies. It seems like a big hit in Wigan. Now we're in St Helens, just shy of Wigan, I suppose. But why not? Because we're closer to it than the other way. So I've got 3 different pies here. I'm going to show you what they are in a little bit. But let's listen to some more of this.
As nice as Galloway's pies sound, I should tell you, one of Wigan's signature local dishes is actually something called a Babby's yet, a suet pudding that can be served rotten, or floating in gravy, or hay wet, served with, and I quote, the sort of discharge that comes off of mushy peas. Which sounds less like a recipe and more like an episode of Chopped, where the only ingredients were items found in the dumpster. Just listen to this man explain the dish even further.
So people say it in a lot of different ways.
When you tip it out, it's supposed to look like a baby's head. The hat is obviously this. So when they ask for the baby's head with hat on, or baby's head with the hat on, I don't like all the gravy and the peas and everything, and curry or whatever, mushed in. I like the chips to be dry, and I'll mix it in with the chips.
Okay, just for the record, I also find that disgusting. I genuinely might prefer watching that man eat an actual baby's head.
He found that the steak pudding squashed into the chips was disgusting. Now, tell me, do you find that disgusting? Does it look disgusting? Do you have steak pudding or steak and kidney pudding squashed into your chips? Let me know in the comments. Now, you've got this guy, and I did a short of it a while ago, and he's taking it apart, saying it looked disgusting, saying that he'd rather watch me actually eat a real baby's head. Did it look that bad? So what we're going to do is we're going to try out their pies, the Galloways pies, because it did get a mention there, and the kids seem to love it. Galloways pies was big on their hit list. John Oliver wants to know what these pies are better than. So, what are they better than? Let me know in the comments. Ooh, it's nice and full. Oh, I'm going for a meat and potato, so I'm going to put that back there for a second. Move that over there. Bring this bread roll here. Because, and it's buttered. Because if he thinks a steak pudding, or a Babby's head, and it's known as that in Yorkshire and a different few other places, puddings are not necessarily a Wigan thing. They're very popular in Wigan, because in Wigan people love their pies. It's known. This is going to shock him if he gets to see this. Meat and potato pie on a bap, a barm, a bread roll, bread cake, call it what you want. Tell me again for that in the comments. The comments should be full of all kinds of things. So this is actually known as a Wigan kebab to a lot of people outside Wigan. And inside Wigan, a pie barm, just a simple pie barm, which is exactly what it is. So let's give this a go. There you go. I'm going to take a bit of this pie off here. That is a good meat and potato pie. There's a lot of stuff going on in there. But there was also a big issue with calling them meat potato pies in a lot of places when they were mostly potato. People insisted that they call them potato and meat pies. Now, I'll always call them a meat potato pie. Oh, that's tasty. That is tasty. Just took a little break there to talk to someone who's got a chippy nearby that we'll call in at some point in the future, but he's not going to know about it, so it could be any time, couldn't it? So let's get back to these pies. So that was the Wigan Kebab. That'll turn John Oliver's stomach, I would imagine. I don't think so. I think he was doing that for the audience. People do things, don't they? Like a thumbnail. You know, it gets all the audience, I don't know, with them being in the US, they'll have never seen anything like that. You alright?
No, I am. I just wonder what you're doing.
John Oliver, what do you reckon to that? Not that you might be watching it, but you should. And if you get to the UK, meet up with me and we'll go and do a few real favourites, not just in Wigan, but some things that you've probably never had before. What you're missing out on. So what have we got here? Let's break this open. Well, I'm going with steak, obviously. Not just mince, it's steak. And that actually looks really, really nice. You know what? These pies, the pastry is lovely. And they're thick. Actually, you know what? That's delicious. And it's packed. They're packed out, these things. Look at that. The meat and potato was. I love tomato sauce on the pie. And that was because of my upbringing in Australia. That was the go-to pie and sauce, tomato sauce. I don't like tomato sauce on anything else. I think if I've got a cheese and onion pie, I don't mind a bit of brown sauce or a bit of Worcester sauce. Now, I don't get pies very often because of all the pastry. Says a guy who eats fish and chips at least twice a week. But it's the pastry that sort of bloats me up. I'm dying to see what you can put in these comments. Now, when I said Worcester sauce, for the Americans again, you might say Worcestershire sauce. Well, some people here say Worcestershire sauce.
And a bit of Stokes on it, please.
Because who's legged it with me pie? You could see how good that was. Okay, we've got chicken and mushroom. Look at that. I wouldn't have any sauce on this, but look at that. You know, before I came out, I did a little bit of search on these pies online, and there were people saying, I don't like them, there's better pies out there and all that. Not giving a replacement pie. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't know what to expect from these pies. Galloways pies. I thought the kids are shouting them from the rooftops, so they've got to be alright, because kids are funny like that. It's like some of the sausages that you get in the fish and chip shops. They've got to be kid friendly. Doesn't matter about the adults. They've got to be child friendly, and they're made fine. They're made fine. That, you know, there's less chance in getting lumps in a chip shop sausage than there is anywhere else, because one lump in a sausage for a child, and it might put them off sausages for life. We're going to definitely finish these pies off. You've bought some already. You've already had a pasty. That wasn't. You had a pasty. You've had the biggest part of my pie. You've got your eyes on this one. Chicken and mushroom. Oh, it's not that she doesn't like mushroom. It's if they're really fried well, she likes mushroom. But if they're not, and they're kind of like a bit damp, then she won't have them because she says they're like slugs. Right, okay, we'll leave it at that. We'll see you. Oh, I don't even have to see you back at the computer, do I? Because I'm not doing a review on this. It's just a case of getting this out to let John Oliver know and his American audience know that there's more to our local foods, our local chippy foods, our pies, things like that. And of course, to get a pie.